serving.
Right.
It's how many families get to eat because of this idea I had one time.
Right.
And what kind of vacations can I make sure that they go on? And what kind of security can I provide them? Even their care through the insurance our company provides. What if they didn't have that? So it's really about serving the people that help us accomplish what it is. And it's upside down.
Right.
Everybody thinks we're up in our ivory towers, and it's very touching to know that people trust us with their lives. And in return, the good, I would say the good or the really successful, maybe is a better word. Entrepreneurs are the ones that understand that the people are the ones that are our success.
Exactly.
It's just our vision, and they're the ones that make it all come true.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's a risk. And so I love working with entrepreneurs because I just know the amount of courage, the amount of fear that they face. I mean, a lot of you'll hear people like Bill Gates and all these, and they have the same fears everybody else does. And they don't know they're going to be enough. They don't know they're going to be successful. They don't know, and they just jump. And it's what we do.
Right.
So it's
right.
my passion is about working with small businesses, really, because it gets a little bit safer when you're bigger. You have something to fall back on. But small businesses, medium-sized businesses, anywhere from the startup, I would say my average clients are typically in the $10 to $25 million a year at this point. Once they're working with me, is where their business is at.
Wow.
But I just have a passion for that small business entrepreneur that just steps out there and they'll come to me and it's like, I'm $3 million in debt. It's like, and I still believe in what I'm doing. And they're like, if it goes wrong, I lose my house, I lose everything. Because what people don't understand is while a lot of entrepreneurs make a lot of money in the back end, what they don't realize is that every piece of them is invested in that company.
Right.
They've taken out loans, they've borrowed from their family, they've begged, they've run their credit up to the limits, and if it goes wrong, it ruins them for their life. And they're willing to take those kind of risks because of something they believe in. So I'm really passionate about working with entrepreneurs. Now that doesn't say that's all I work with, but there's a bond there. I understand the risk that's involved.
Right.
And there's something to be said for that courage.
Well, you're an entrepreneur yourself,
Exactly.
too, so I can relate in that sense. You've been there, done that, you know?
Yep. But we work with all kinds of people. As a matter of fact, we do a lot of seminars and a lot of facilitation. Mentioned that we give away a lot of our time. We just recently did a 90-day training program completely free for Loudoun County in Virginia, and where we're working with homeless. And we're taking these principles that we take to the same entrepreneurs, the people that are paying literally hundreds of thousands of dollars for this education, and saying, here's a foundation, that here's an opportunity of a lifetime. And it doesn't cost you anything but helping us keep it going. So if they have to come back and staff, that's how they give back. And they begin to teach what we teach.
Right.
And I love that. I love that giving back piece. Even as much as I love working with the entrepreneurs, is seeing that transition. That beliefs begin to spark in people where they believe they are enough.
Right. To be frank, I think we need more of that. It's just like the old saying, you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, or you can teach a man how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. I think there needs to be more of that, allowing people to realize they can empower themselves, they can get out of the situation that they're in instead of relying on the government and things like that, I think that's wonderful, and I think we need more of that, and I think that's where it's heading towards. So, excellent. I notice when you and I have talked, and also in this interview, you speak a lot about like gratitude and giving back. Explain that to me a little bit more.
Well, it takes a little bit to really get to the bottom of it, but basically the way we're built, a lot of times we'll get stuck as human beings. And sometimes it's easy to realize what we don't have. I came from a pretty rough childhood and had a lot of crazy experiences growing up, and it'd be very easy for me personally to sit back and say, wow, you know, we live in a terrible world. And really bad stuff happens in the world, and a lot of people want to ignore that, like it doesn't happen, and it does. There's pain in the world, there just is, that's part of life. But I believe that we have some needs that need to be met. We're created in such a way that we weren't designed to focus like this, just totally in us. That and I've noticed, and a lot of religions teach this, and a lot of philosophies teach this, that basically when we get outside of ourselves and we start doing something bigger, we start contributing in some way, we start getting this internal fulfillment. And there's a difference between happiness and fulfillment. I can be sad and still be fulfilled. I can be happy and I can be fulfilled. I can be excited and be fulfilled. I can be all of these different things, but that doesn't take my fulfillment away.
Right.
And I've seen that fulfillment comes from two things. What I like to call spiritual growth. You can talk about that in many different ways. The reason I call that is I'm like growing and learning who we are at a spiritual level. I'm not talking about I'm this muscle guy, or I'm this smart person, or I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this knowledge of who I am. And, you know, and I do this as an exercise with a lot of people. I'll walk up to people and, you know, hey, I'm John, how are you, you know, and they'll say, hey, I'm Gil, and I'm like, so Gil, who are you? And they look at me kind of sideways, and a lot of times people say, you know, well, I'm a producer, or I'm an accountant, or and I'm like, really? What's that like being an accountant? And they don't really understand my question, because a lot of people ask that. But I'm not an accountant, that's a job. I'm not a coach. I mean, that's what I do for a living, and I enjoy doing that, but that's not who I am. And so there's this idea of this growth in knowing who I am. If you ask who I am, I'm this courageous, I'm free, I'm powerful. I'm a child of God. And I know who I am. It has nothing to do with what I do. You
Right.
know, I choose to do something that kind of fulfills who I am. And so I would say the first piece is growth. And the second piece is, once we kind of know who we are, is how do we touch other people? It's not about me. And the more I don't make it about me, the more fulfilled I am. The more I give to other people, the more fulfilled I am. The more selfless that I am, and I'm not talking about selfishness, because I think it's needed today. I think we misunderstand the difference between self-centered and selfishness. I struggle with teaching people to be selfish and not self-centered.
Right. Right.
It's all right to take.
Right.
If you don't take, how can you give?
Exactly.
But you know, sometimes I just need my alone time. Sometimes I just need to refuel. Sometimes I just need it to be about me.
Right.
And that's okay.
Well, you got to fill your cup, otherwise you can't give.
And then when I do, I go and give again.
Right.
And it's part of the cycle. To think that we can just give all the time is kind of crazy. But when I find that we start getting the focus off of ourselves and onto others, we begin to grow in this just amazing way, and we start contributing, and the next thing you know is we're happy in our life and we forgot about all of our problems. And we live in this beautiful world that's, we really shift our worldview, and we start giving outside of ourselves and loving people unconditionally, and it's just life-changing.
Right.
Realizing, just like I talked about the family, we're a system.
Right.
The world's a system.
Right.
And it's broken.
Right.
But we can be part of the fix, and when we do, we all get fulfilled. We all get filled up. So.
Excellent. Excellent. One last question. If you could give any advice to our audience that they could take away from this interview and apply in their life, what would it be?
Wow, I don't even know where to start. I said earlier that my first lesson was to be impeccable with our word, but I think if I had any bit of advice, as a coach I don't give a lot of advice typically, but the most recent learning that I have, that I've really kind of attached to, and I think there's something to this, is that all of us communicate out of one of two things. And that's either we're communicating out of love, just pure unconditional love, or we're communicating out of fear. And so my advice to anybody out there would be to always communicate out of love. Fear just holds us back.
Right.
So I think that would be my advice.
Yeah,
Just take the
excellent.
risk.
Right, right. You only live once.
Yep.
You know. Well, I really appreciate you being on this interview, John. I thank you so much, and God bless you. And I thank the audience for joining us today. And till next time, remember that if you want to change the world, you must first change yourself. Take care. Peace.